Hi, I made the decision to start a series on future backward strategy. And the reason is that I think that none of us is really prepared for the future, and none of us is really prepared for what is ahead of us. And what we see organizations are still doing, they're still using, I think, the more traditional ways of creating a path for the organization to proceed. And what they do is that simply they look at the picture of the present and they extrapolate from this what is going to be the future. Well, it was a very sustainable method, I believe, while the pace of change was something that was, I would say, something that we can live with, acceptable, not too surprising, not too many white swan or black swan or whatever. But right now we are heading off time of acceleration of acceleration. What is happening right now? We are in the beginning of the biggest ever um, innovation path, and of course disruptive technologies are coming from all over the place. And so when it's acceleration of acceleration, we need to find another tools. So just to give you an idea what we are talking about, people who are working on visioning the future are talking about the fact that we will have to deal with about, let's say, the amount of changes that we had to deal in the last 100 years in the coming 10 years. And in the coming 100 years, we will have to deal with the amount of changes that we had to deal in the last 22,000 years, meaning when we moved from being, I would say, wanderers to people who have settlements who are taking care of the land and so forth. So what I'm saying, these are huge changes, and none of us is ready for that. So we have 15 disruptive technologies or enabling technologies, depend from each angle are you looking at it. And what is happening, they're coming to an age right now. I mean, they're in their prime right now. And what does it mean that when you're saying that enabling technology is coming to an age? It means that it's getting, I would say, easy to deploy, or at least easy enough to be deployed, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper, meaning there is an exponential curve of price which is going down and not up. And of course, it's becoming reliable enough. So we have all these 15 technologies which are coming to age right now, and think about what does it mean when there is a conversion between all of these technologies. So none of us is ready for that. None of us. So what we need to do is create new tools. So what I want to talk about is right now is a tool that is called Future Backward Strategy. And I want to talk about it from the beginning, on the set of the set of the people that we have in each organization. So because what I'm going to take right now is about the team, then I'm going to speak about the process, and then I'm going to talk about the outcome. But I want to focus on the team because this is the crucial part before anything else. So when we look at any kind of organization, we can think about that there are usually three different segments in each organization. The first one, which is the largest one, are the survivors of chaos, meaning it's very hard for them emotionally, and also they have hardship in functioning in a chaos situation. They somehow survive. So these are the people that we, in the old traditional ways, you used to call them leggers. In good organization, because they tend to keep the good people in any case, and these people can be good ones, but it's very hard for them to deal with chaos and with change. So we call them survivors of changes, or chaos, survivors of chaos, and this is usually the majority of the organization. We have a small group which we call pilots of chaos, and these are the people who can mitigate the chaos. I mean, they don't love it, they're not happy about it, but they're not getting frustrated and they're not getting freezed by the situation. So somehow they can mitigate, and also they can assist the survivors of chaos. But in each organization, there is a tiny, tiny, tiny group. And in the best organization, you can't really handle more than, a fraction of the organization, which has these characteristics. And these are the people we call architects of chaos. Why usually organizations can't deal with a large amount of these people? Because they're the troublemakers. They keep asking questions. They are never happy with the status quo. They're always looking for another way to improve things, even if things are going smooth right now. They want to change things which are not broken. So why fix them? These are the people who are the troublemakers in the organization. So usually it's very hard for us, to handle more than a few of them. In times like that, of acceleration, these people are going to be the pivot team that will assist us in preparing for the future. So there are many ways how we choose them, but the best way, in my experience, according to my knowledge, is when I sit with them and I look them deeply in the eyes and I ask them one question. If anything you know about the future and about the world is probably wrong, everything that you know is wrong, how do you feel about that? And the people who are smiling, and the people who are saying to me, what do you mean? And the people who are saying, it's an interesting idea, I've never thought about it, but you see this, the sparkling is in their eyes. These are your people. These are our people. These are the people that we can put in the room and ask them to do the impossible. And just to give you an idea, what does it mean to do the impossible? I want to take you back into history, because what I'm talking about was happening again and again and again in history, but we never capsulize it in a framework. So there is nothing new. I'm just, capsulating things that were already in our experience as humankind, as human species. So we are at, I think it was the fall or the winter of 43, sorry, and John Kelly, which was the head engineering department, the head of the engineering department of, I think, one of the biggest aviation companies, is being called by the major people, the major figures in the American army, and he's coming, to meet them in Capitol Hill, and they're sitting in front of him, these two very severe people, and they are very stressed, and they're telling him that according to what the intelligence is telling us, the forecasting are very pessimistic, that if we want to do something different, within 18 months, the whole world is going to be under the boot of the Nazis. So he asked them, what do you need? And they tell him, we need something that was never created before. We need a huge plane that can plane, long distances with very heavy equipment on it, and ammunition and other stuff, and that he will be able to come back as well safely. So we asked them, when do you need it for? And they tell him, we need it for, let's assume, I think it was 152 days. And he said, can I have the weekend to think about it? And they said, no, you have about 5 minutes, because we are going to interview the person behind you. It was from Lockheed. I forgot the name. It was John Kelly from Lockheed. So he tells him, so can I go out for 2 minutes and I'll come back with my answer? And they says, yes, of course. So he goes in and he goes out. He dials home to his, he takes the phone, he dials home to his wife, and he says, I will not be coming home for dinner tonight. And she says, when are you going to come back? And he tells her, well, I'll come back in 152 days. So what he does, he take a small group of people. It's about 20 people from all the army, and they are all architects of chaos, all of them. And he put them in a stinky tent near a horrible factory. I think it was a plastic factory, that the smell was horrible. It's a horrifying place to work in. And each of them, he tears off any kind of, signs of, military achievement or whatever that they have. They are all equal. And he gives each of them, a pencil, an eraser. And he says, that's it. You go in. And I give you all the authority, and there is all the responsibility. And he calls the supreme leaders of the army, and he calls them and he says, can you come after 1 day? And they come after 139 days, if I'm not mistaken. And what is waiting for them is not a mock-up, is not a sketch, is an aviation, a plane that is ready to be used. So this is what you do. So when you have these architects of chaos that has to create something that was never ever been done before, okay? So they can do that. They can create something which is tangible, can be used very effectively in a very short time zone. But for that, we need to give them the tools. So they could create this because they were capable of understanding the future in a way that people couldn't understand it. And about this is the essence of future backward strategy, meaning you go into the future, you learn the future, and you bring the future back here. So we call it zoom out, zoom in. So you go there, and then you come back here. So on this, we will talk more in the future meetings that we will have. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.